Klaus Schwab and the demons in Davos aren't very happy today. In fact, they're devastated because they just lost one of their most faithful and dedicated nations. The Dutch government has officially collapsed. That's right, the Dutch government that was so faithfully implementing and instituting the WEF's green energy policies to the detriment of farmers throughout their nation has indeed imploded. Now, if you don't know, the Dutch government has for the last several months been ruled by a coalition of four parties, two on the center right, the Forum for Democracy, and the CDA, the Christian Democrat Appeal, and two on the center left, the D66 and Christian Union. Now, the official reason for the coalition's unraveling is supposedly irreconcilable differences over immigration. The Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, was positioning himself as a hardliner who wanted to be seen as supporting a reduction in migrants. The problem there is that Rutte has done this before. In the last couple of election cycles, he's moved way to the right on migration in order to stave off a challenge from Geert Wilders, who wanted to ban particularly Muslim migration from the Netherlands. But in the end, the Netherlands under Rutte's leadership always ended up doing the bidding of the bullies in Brussels, the European Union, when it came to migrant quotas. So Rutte hasn't shown any real leadership on the migration issue, but something did indeed rip apart the coalition, whatever it was, and the Dutch government has officially collapsed. In fact, it's being widely reported that the now former Prime Minister Mark Rutte is leaving politics altogether. He's done. Stick a fork in him. He's leaving politics for good over all this. And Geert Wilders is already seizing on the immigration issue, promising that if given a majority in their next election, his party, the Dutch Freedom Party, will enact some of the most stringent immigration restrictions in the whole of the EU. Now, it's no coincidence that the Dutch government has indeed fallen just months after a political earthquake rocked the very foundations of Dutch politics. In fact, gang, it's looking more and more like the Netherlands may be the next site for a massive nationalist populist takeover in Europe. You're going to absolutely love this. But first, gang, let me ask you, are you ultra MAGA? Do you want to show your patriotism as a card-carrying Trump supporter? Well, then before you do anything else, you've got to click on the link below and get your very own collectible Trump cards. Gang, these are amazing. Patriots played their anti-globalist Trump card against the left in 2016, and we're getting ready to play it again in 2024. And what better way to show your support for Trump's re-election than with these amazing collectible pieces of Trump art? These cards have a limited supply, so don't wait. Only 2,500 sets of these have been made, and they're going to come with a certificate of authenticity verifying you own an original set. These make great gifts for any MAGA patriot in your life, and if you buy 2 sets, you also get a bonus gold Trump 2024 card absolutely free. These physical cards are high quality, they're made in America, they're highly collectible, but again, there's only a limited supply, so don't wait. By the time you remember, they're likely to be gone. So click the link below right now and get your Trump cards today. Back in March, in an absolutely stunning upset, the upstart populist pro-farmer party known as the Farmer Citizen Movement scored a massive victory in their provincial elections that determined the makeup of the Dutch Senate. The Farmer Citizen Movement is a brand new party that represents the persecuted farmers who've been protesting against their draconian government, nonstop for months, as I'm sure you've seen. We've certainly reported on it, but tens of thousands of farmers have been protesting all over the Netherlands in response to the lawmakers in The Hague, the Dutch parliament, who voted to follow orders directly from the World Economic Forum and slash their nation's emissions by forcing farmers to use less fertilizer, cut their livestock herd numbers, which involves actually killing off a lot of their livestock, or even stop work altogether. A lot of people don't know, but the Netherlands is the second largest agricultural exporter in the entire world. But for the hypersensitive environmentalism that pervades European politics via their various green parties, that kind of agricultural prominence is actually a problem because it produces too much nitrogen via the cattle-produced manure and fertilizer. Too much, shall I say, of course, for radical green sensibilities in the WEF. And so, as part of the European Union, The Hague decided to bring those nitrogen emissions down to levels that the Greens in Europe would find acceptable. And that involved nothing less than a radical proposal that mandated a 30% reduction in livestock. And that caused farmers throughout the nation to absolutely explode. Over the last few months, we've seen nothing less than a populist uprising, with far more farmers rising up and basically shutting down the nation. Protesters blocked food warehouses, supermarket distribution centers. Even fishermen blocked ports in a show of solidarity with the farmers. The blockade effectively prevented ferries from sailing, trucks from delivering their goods, which of course caused lengthy delays and massive inventory shortages. I mean, it shut down Dutch highways and byways. It was very, very similar to the way the Freedom Convoy shut down Ottawa for several weeks, right? And so needless to say, how did the liberal globalists in the Netherlands, the Mark Rutte government, respond to these protests? Well, of course, they went full Trudeau. In the name of democracy and liberty, Dutch police consistently cracked down on the protesters, right? They were pulling out their guns. At one point, they even started firing. But despite all of these Gestapo-like tactics, the Dutch farmers refused to back down. They fought back. And now they are the official majority in the Dutch Senate as of last March. They fought back, they mobilized, they organized, and they kicked butt at the ballot box. So now the $10,000 question is whether this new populist party can fully take over the Dutch government and particularly the prime ministership. I mean, if that's the case, then they'll go down in history as one of the most astonishing political movements ever to rise on the European continent, for sure. So, obviously, we'll keep a very close eye on how things develop in the next couple of months in the Netherlands and see if the nationalist populists can indeed rise up and claim yet another European nation for national sovereignty. Hey, gang, I know what it's like to feel alone out there in these turbulent times, but I broke free. If you too have been looking for a community with like-minded patriots who are serious about resisting globalism, building a parallel economy, and having intelligent and deep fellowship on a regular basis, then you've come to the right place. In my Courageous Patriot Insiders community, we're building a close-knit movement of, by, and for patriots who are breaking free from the outrage and despair cycles of the mainstream media and taking on the fight against globalism. Every week, I deep dive into the content I can't share on big tech and give you the cliff notes on the truth of how patriots just like you are building up their communities, starting patriot businesses, and fighting the woke in both public and private. All with a few history and political lessons from yours truly, of course. If you want to stop feeling alone as a patriot and stand together with this fast-growing community, be sure to click on the link in the description below. Don't wait. Join me and my Patriot Coalition today, and let's get fighting.